Welcome to Transform and Thrive. I'm your host, Jessalin Lam, and this is a series all about uncovering the stories of transformation, resilience, and growth that inspire us to embrace change and thrive in our lives. And each episode, I sit down with trailblazers who have turned challenges into opportunities, sharing their pivotal lessons and mindset shifts that have led to their transformation. Today's guest is Roo Yeshpaul Johnson, and she's a senior marketing leader shaping the future of social influence and brand storytelling. With over 17 years across global brands and agencies, she leads enterprise social and influencer strategy at Adobe and is the founder of Be Renowned, a strategic consultancy helping leaders build authority, visibility, and opportunity through thought leadership. She was also a 2023 ADCOLOR leader and LinkedIn creator. Roo is known for her direct human approach to social-led brand building, creator partnerships, and AI in marketing. She champions representation and equity in leadership and is a military spouse and mom of three. So whether you're navigating a challenge or seeking motivation to take that next step, you'll find so much inspiration today. Welcome, Roo.
Thank you for having me, Jessalyn. Hi.
Yeah, really happy to have you here today. And we'll dive into the first question on transformation.
Yeah.
Can you share a significant challenge or turning point in your life that became a catalyst for transformation?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I moved to the States. I'm born and raised in London, and meeting my husband, who is American, kind of inspired this big life change. And I've been working in the ad industry in London for years. I was very deep into my career. And to make this move, I had to actually leave my job. And because my husband's in the military, he's Air Force, we found out we'd be moving to Utah, of all places. And of course, my first thought was, how am I going to continue my career? Is there an ad industry in Utah? What am I going to do? Is this career suicide? And I mean, it was it was such a mental challenge, obviously physical challenge moving, but it really pushed me to lean into community, find a community, and just hit the ground and look for the what I was looking for. And I found, the ad industry there, found some great companies. It's when I found ADCOLOR, and finding that organization, which I know you're familiar with too, is
Mhm.
was really the catalyst for transformation. That's what changed my career trajectory and acceleration, and just having that community really helped me embed into this new life and new industry in the States.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine the type of challenge to have to move to such a like an unknown or new place.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to like overcoming challenge, what was the biggest challenge you faced during this period and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, so many things, right? Even
Yeah.
just culture shock, just even the logistics of moving. But I think the biggest thing for me, I am such a problem solver and I want to know what the problems are so I can fix it. And there's so many unknowns when you're moving or in any big like life change. And I think it was just navigating the unknown, wanting an answer, but not knowing what that answer could be, because you have to kind of figure it out as you go. And I think what helped me was focusing on what I could influence, being prepared for when opportunities came my way, or those small incremental changes I could make, and then kind of accepting that progress was the small momentum, and that the new decisions would uncover themselves as you go. And it was such a lesson for me, because I was so used to just being able to change big things all at once. It was like, okay, sometimes it's not going to be a big thing, it's going to be small little things, and that's still a win, and all of that will build up to you know a big change. Yeah.
Right. And you even said to focus on things that you can control or focus on, which leads me to think about what's that mindset shift. So, what are some of the mindset shifts or realizations that helped you move forward and grow?
Yeah, and I think some of these things I've realized even since then, like the journey for the last 10 years has been so transformative in so many ways. And one of the things, or the biggest mindset shifts I've had more recently, is just the power of visibility.
Mm,
Just having to move was such a catalyst for change and like a potential roadblock in the growth that I had. And I realized that no one but me owns my experience. You know, that's something that I lease out to these companies. I own that and I can make it work for me in getting a job and
Mhm.
using it for that job, but then also for my own visibility separate from that job and in different ways, even in building a community of friends. Like
Mhm.
all of your life experience is what will get you to whatever you need in life. And so I think being strategic about valuable visibility was how I built my career currency in a brand new place where no one knew me. Like obviously I had a resume, but I didn't know anyone. And so having this community that helped me build my visibility and leaning into opportunities that, added more to what I was doing and what I could talk about. It was just such um a transformative realization for me. And then especially as a military spouse, and people that are will understand this, that every time you move you have to kind of start again and rebuild that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it made me realize that my situation doesn't have to be a blocker to long-term success. Like so many people think that because they're in this situation where they're going to have to start again, it's like, oh, I might as well just wait until it's my turn to be somewhere to do anything. But it's like, no, you can, if you're visible, if you lean into community, if you find these small ways to get what you want, it's always possible to keep momentum going. Your situation doesn't have to define the outcome of your life.
I love that. It's even me think of like how you're the driver of your own life. And I love
Yeah.
even the term you mentioned about, I think you said career currency, like
Hmm.
it's how you're investing and it's an
Yes.
ongoing investment.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially because I think we're very focused on career, and that is something that I am focused on in what I do. Of course, we have families, and all of that is part and parcel of just our whole life. But because we choose to work as well as being mothers,
Mhm.
it is something that I want to get value out of. And it is, an investment for me because I'm making a conscious choice and life investment to make my career something alongside my family. And so it
Right.
has to have ROI.
Hmm. And I would also love to hear a little bit more about some of your learning lessons along this
Mm.
journey. And were there moments of failures like along the way, and how did you learn from them?
Absolutely. I mean, we always say this, right? That like if you're not failing, then you're not learning. But I think
Hmm.
something that I've learned in hindsight is that a lot of the times when I thought it was failure, it actually didn't necessarily turn out to be that in the end. And one example I'll give is when I was pregnant with my first son, I had landed what I felt at the time was like a dream job at an ad agency, and I was 5 months pregnant. So they knew I was going out on mat leave. And then while I was on mat leave after I had my son, we found out my husband had to leave for a 6 month deployment when my son would be 4 months old. And so, of course, huge questions came to mind of like, okay, do I return to work? What do I do? I ended up going back to work on the same day that my husband left for this deployment. My son was 4 months old, literally the hardest thing I've ever pushed myself through. Like my resilience was, I mean, such a testament to it. But also, when you look
Right.
back and you think, why did I push myself through that something so hard? Because you're trying to make something work that maybe you need to make a different decision. And I did it for 5 months, or no, 3 months, sorry. And then I was like, no, I need to step away. Yes, this is this dream job, what I've been working towards. It was like a level that I wanted, but my health, my stress levels, my
Mhm.
son's quality of life, it was also COVID at that time. I was like, I need to step away, and I just trust that I will maintain my trajectory. This isn't, because of course at that, especially as mothers, we think, oh my God, if we step away, I'm never going to regain my footing.
Mhm.
I'm never
Right.
going to be able to like move past this. And
Right.
so I did it. I'm so glad I did, because you can't out prepare stress. You need to take care of yourself. You need to rest.
Mhm.
And I did land a great job afterwards, even better job potentially. My I will say that my trajectory in my career probably isn't on par with the years of experience that I have, because of the lifestyle of being a military spouse, having to move so much, having to take a
Mhm.
break as a mother. But that's something that so many women face, because we have different roadblocks in our journeys. But I still have faith that I'll get to where I want to be, and we have other things of value that we're taking out of our careers. It's not just about a title or you know what company you're at. It's
Right, with a career and the job,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And even just tying to like other things, it makes me think of community, which you even mentioned a little bit earlier. So it's I can't even imagine what it's like to have to move so much. So I'm curious to hear like who supported you like during these times or even during the
Yeah.
like transformation.
Yeah, and I think going back to kind of lessons that I've learned, I think this part of it has been the biggest lesson is
Mm,
that having a community and spending time fostering relationships and building relationships is literally the most invaluable thing you can do for your personal life, for your career, for anything, especially as you get into these years where, as when you have spouses, when you have kids or whatever it is. And so the ADCOLOR community has been a huge part of that. Having an executive leadership coach and even the network that comes through that. Oh my gosh, I've learned so many valuable lessons about, how to run my life as, almost like a business to make all of these things happen and still not lose yourself in all of it. I mean, I've had 3 kids over the last 6 years, and that is just insurmountable change that it's
mhm.
mind-boggling. And I feel like I've actually grown so much and got so much power from that, rather than it stripping me of energy and power, which is, I
Yeah.
think, to me, I credit a lot of that to the work I've done with coaching and with community and with, people like yourself that I've met through these groups
Mhm.
and circles, because it's the people that are around you that you learn from and that you grow with.
Right. And I think it's from Add Color that we have met each other, but shout out
Hmm.
to Ronnie, who was
Yeah,
our collective
our
coach when
coach.
we were in community together. So
Yeah,
definitely have been loving to see like how you've also grown just and how we're supporting each other. It
yeah.
definitely helps to have that community to so that knowing that we're not alone in everything we're going through.
Exactly, and even you, I mean, you've created an amazing group of moms that we both
Mhm.
are a part of, and that has been such a source of comfort and just, almost a lifeline in some ways, in the hard moments that I've gone through in the last few years, where you have people that you can lean into and that are always there to answer a text or build more relationships with, and that is what we need in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And more to come when it comes to badass mamas for
Yes,
like what we grow from that.
daily.
And I also want to ask in terms of just thriving because a lot of times we live in autopilot, survival
Mhm.
mode, and it's a good reminder of like what are the things that are going to help us thrive. So what are some practical steps that you take or habits that have helped you thrive?
Yeah. And I will say that I think executive leadership coaching helped me come to a lot of the frameworks that I use, because it kind of helps you give a name to a lot of the things that maybe you're already doing or
Mhm.
structuring them. But one of the biggest things that I use in my life is what I like to call the ROI of my life. And it's kind of seeing what are the buckets of investment that I make in my life. So for me, it's myself, my family, my work, play, rest, joy, things like that. And then what am I doing for those things and what am I getting back out of it? So if I'm, spending 3 hours doing something that, okay, it's for myself or my kids, but actually what I got out of those 3 hours wasn't enough to say that I should keep doing that, then I decide I don't need to do that anymore. I need to lean into something else. So you can decide where to invest and divest. And that's like the ROI that you're getting from whatever you're spending your
Mhm.
time on, because time is, the currency that we think is unlimited in life, but
Right.
really we
But we
need to
don't get it back.
exactly, and we need
Yeah.
to be more strategic about how we spend it. And I think being a mom of 3 little kids under the age of 6 is you have to be ruthlessly efficient. And so I've learned to be a lot more careful about my time. And outsourcing things has been a huge unlock for me, like outsourcing
Mhm.
laundry folding and cleaning. And one day I would love to be outsourcing cooking, because what is for dinner is the most scary question of
Every day.
every single
Yeah.
day. I'd love to divest from that one day, and you can plan for those things. And so I always come back to that. If I feel something is incongruent, or if I feel a yearning to do something more, I'll look at the ROI that or like where my time is going. And if I'm not getting something back out of that, it's like, okay, let me get that time back and spend it on something else. And for instance, it could be small things like I love coloring to relax,
Mhm.
and I wasn't having enough time to do it. And then I realized actually this is something I can do with my kids, and we can do it at the same time
Oh, I love
as
that.
TV. So now before dinner or whenever, we're like, okay, let's all sit down and do some coloring. And it's
Mhm.
win-win, because I'm spending time with the kids, which is part of my KPIs for my life. We are, we're spending time together. I'm doing something I enjoy. So there's some joy there. So it helps you make these decisions when, because a lot of people are like, how do I know what to say no to or say yes to? And
Right.
that I find is an easy framework.
I love that. And even putting together what you said earlier of like treating your life like a business, it sounds like you
Mm,
have a lot of great structure of treating it like a business, having ROI and KPI, and then it's setting you up for success on like those core pillars that you're focusing on.
exactly, because we do this at work every day, right? So we
Right,
know how to do
exactly.
a planning session, but also shout out to Ronnie Dickerson Stewart because that
Yes,
running your life like a business, very Ronnie coded right there.
yes. Yeah. Well, and also like I want to hear one of my important like favorite questions is asking how people celebrate themselves. So, how do
Mhm.
you acknowledge your growth and your success?
Something that I've been doing more recently, but I think I didn't realize I was doing it, is I talk to myself and give
Mhm.
myself, I say good job or well done or
Oh,
keep
I love
going or
that.
like
Yeah. Oh, I talk to
great, you
myself all
did
the
it.
time.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we do that, but I realize I give myself the positive affirmation because no one's there. I'm very motivated by praise. I've realized that since I was a child.
Yeah.
And it's like no one's going to be there praising you all day, girl. You're an adult now. You got to, get on with it. So sometimes if I do something, it's like, good job, girl. You did it. You did it,
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
you're giving yourself that affirmation. And it's almost like talking to yourself how you'd talk to your kids a lot of the
Oh,
time. And
absolutely.
yeah, and I find that that is like a nice reward because, of course, we can buy ourselves gifts, but we buy ourselves stuff all the time. I'm online buying stuff constantly. It's not even like a reward anymore. It's like if I just want something, I'm going to get it. So I have to find it in these small little things. And to me, I've decided that self care is essential. Massages, bath, whatever, is not a
Yeah.
reward. It's literally just maintenance. And so those things are not a treat anymore either. So I've decided that the affirmation talk is how I like keep myself motivated now.
I love that. And then that's also ripple effects too, because when you're doing that throughout the day, then it really helps with your mood. And it's something that I've
Yeah.
even taught my 3-year-old for
Yes.
affirmation. So it's been amazing to hear her say it or just even thinking about what you're saying of that people are not doing it for you. It's funny because of a random example of like when I was trying to park straight in the garage, she's
Mhm.
like, "You can do it, Mom. You did it." And she's
See?
celebrating me. I was like, "Oh, look at that.
I
I'm
love
teaching
that.
her
Yeah, because they
celebrating and how
literally
that's
they
important."
are our mirrors. They really are, and this is the thing because they hear you even talking to yourselves. My kids do, and then they
Yes.
say it to themselves too. They're like,
Yes,
"Yeah, good job, I did
exactly.
it." Yeah,
I know. It's
yeah,
amazing. So
that
you're
is
being a great role model for them too, celebrating themselves.
exactly.
I also want to ask in terms of resources, like are
Mhm.
there habits, tools, resources that have really helped you with your momentum along your journey?
Yeah, and I mean, I've mentioned this before, but the outsourcing I think is
Mm,
especially once your life gets so busy with children, or even if you don't have children and you're just busy,
right.
whether it's a EA or VA even, or if it's like I said, cleaning, someone to do your laundry, or taking it to the dry cleaner and investing in that. It's like building that in so that it's a non-negotiable in your life, and that's definitely something that a point that I've got to that it is essential because buy back the time. That time I'd rather spend it with my family than,
Absolutely.
doing a task that somebody else can do. And you can support someone else in their business doing that too. So that for sure. And then I think like the blocking the calendar thing, it's such a simple one. And we all know this, but it's like treating that calendar like a law. And if I need to do something, I'm putting it on the calendar, blocking that time, and I'm working on getting better at honoring my own commitments to myself because I think the
Mm,
first person we breach a boundary with is ourselves a lot of the time. I definitely am good for that. And
yeah.
so I'm like, okay, if something is on that calendar and if it's for me and nobody else is holding me accountable, I have to hold myself accountable.
Mm,
And
mhm.
it's yeah, and kind of treating it like work because we wouldn't blow off a work meeting, right?
Right, right. And
So
making sure it's on the calendars and that's gonna
yes.
make sure that happens. Yeah.
Exactly. And then even just like the logistics of planning it, if you have a family or a spouse, we have a skylight calendar, for instance. That is
Mm,
amazing in our household because we can sync up all the calendars. Everybody knows what's happening. I'm not having people coming to me saying, well, when is this or what is this? But PTA meeting or parent teacher conference,
yeah.
the kids have chores on there. So we have all of our things in one central place everyone can look at, and it's on the phones. We have shared grocery lists, things
Mhm.
like that. Just technology is we got to use it to our advantage, right?
Right, to just make systems in place so then it's more efficient
Exactly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the last question is
Yeah.
leading with advice for everyone listening in. What is one message, mantra, or advice that you'd love to leave people with who are, especially those who might be struggling to take that first step towards their own transformation?
Yeah, yeah. I think something that has always helped me in my life and something that I've been able to define more recently as I've got older is that you always have agency. You always have a
Mm,
choice. And your power is in knowing the long-term consequences of the choice you're planning to make. And will that choice take you closer to the person you want to be or further away? And that is like the best way to decide on that choice. And then there's always something you can change. This is what gives me hope in like
mm.
even the darkest moments. There is always something you can change, however small. Sometimes you have to look really hard, but it's always there. And it may not always look exactly how you want it to look, but small incremental changes will take you to that vision that you have. So you always have a choice, you always have agency to look for what you can change, and there will be something.
I love that reminders. And thank you really for this just such an inspiring conversation with you. And it's really a great reminder that transformation really begins when we embrace all these challenges that
Mhm.
happen to us throughout our life journey and be able to learn from these experiences and take those actions, take those choices that we are intentional about. And thank you so much for joining today for Transform and Thrive. And
Thank you for having me.
absolutely. And if today's episode resonated with you, for everyone listening in, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who could benefit from hearing this story, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you.